This is Will Nunziata, New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film. And today I am thrilled to be speaking with one of the members, well, actually the member, and the frontman, the founder, the guitarist, the harmonica player, he does it all, Mr. Chris Reilly of Appalachian Apollo, the folk rock band. But before we get to our interview, here's a sneak peek at Chris's incredible talent with his song, Good Enough.
My heart punches a few holes on the inside of my ribcage walls like he is an angry teenage kid. When you take over my thoughts and then I realize where you are, I just get sick as the room spins. You are more than just a from you, the one I asked for. In that other song.
Well, hello, Chris. How are you?
Hey, Will, I'm good. Thanks so much for having me today.
Chris, my pleasure. Well, listen, I'm so excited the audience just got a little sneak peek of your amazing talent with your tune, Good Enough. Talk to me a little bit about the impetus of writing that particular song.
And well, it's about exactly what it sounds like, you know, thinking you'll never be good enough for someone, but realizing you'll be good enough for yourself.
Wow. Hello. Bam. But look at Chris, what I love so much about the song is that people can take the message of it in whichever way they want. It's a universal message that I think, honestly, throughout these past 18 months, I feel like people have been forced to kind of sit with themselves in the mirror, figuratively, literally, to really say like, oh my God, what do I really need in my life? Oh, wait, I'm enough. So I think it's a great message.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it's definitely been a crazy past year and a half, lots of alone time that people have had to stare themselves in the mirror in a big way, like you said.
Amen. Well, listen, Chris, I want to know the how Appalachian Apollo was born.
Boy. All right. Sure. So it started when I was in college. I just was in a different band called Van Vega at the time. We were a four-piece. We were just straight kind of rock and roll. And I was writing these like more quiet folk songs on the side, and I ended up collaborating with two of the members of Van Vega to kind of start writing and arranging the first Appalachian Apollo record, and self-produced over the next probably, that was in like 2015, so over the next like 3 years I was recording everything basically at home and sent it out for mastering. And that was by that point the band had broken up. By the time it was released, we all kind of graduated and went our separate ways after college, and I ended up playing a couple shows like the release show with a new lineup of musicians. But yeah, that's the gist, I guess.
Talk to me about your love of folk music particularly. I mean, was this something that you grew up listening to that was around your house, or just something that you just naturally found an affinity for?
Yeah, I grew up definitely around folk music. Like in the car, my dad would put on, I remember like this one Buddy and Julie Miller song, Dirty Water, we had on tape. And that was like probably like the first exposure I can remember to something really like folky, like freaking Bayou music shit. Excuse me. I hope
Oh, you can curse. You're so funny. But see, Chris, is what I love about you. You're unapologetic. I think this is what makes you so relatable. I think the messages of your songs are relatable, but you are as an artist. So let it out, baby. Keep going.
Thanks, Will. Yeah. I forget what I was even saying.
You were talking about this listening to Dirty Water on a tape in your dad's car, and you said Bayou shit.
Yeah, that's like the first real like folk rock I can remember hearing. I mean, I would listen to a lot of Beatles growing up, obviously. I mean, like any kid. But yeah, Buddy and Julie Miller, they were like the first ones that really stood out. I was very, very young, like around 5. And then I kind of just didn't pick up guitar till like I was a preteen. and I really fell in love with folk rock like junior and senior year of high school when like Tallest Man on Earth. It was a couple years after he put out his first 2 records, and Deer Tick was kind of just like they had like 2 or 3 records out at that time, and now they have like 5 or 6 or 7, something a lot more than that. But so I got really into them in high school. My siblings were both really into them, and kind of and then I think like like there was a whole sort of mini revival when Edward Sharpe released that song Home, but what else? That was
Well,
definitely sort of went more mainstream at that point, and
well,
I kind of just followed the crowd, I guess, a little bit in that
well,
way.
I mean, you can say you follow the crowd, but I mean, what I also love is that there has been a resurgence of the folk rock musical sensibility, but also you're doing it in your own authentic way. I mean, you've gone through a lot of different iterations of Appalachian Apollo, but at the end of the day, the founder, the fact that you are now able to take all of these years of just doing the thing and now standing literally and figuratively on your own 2 feet, you are enough. I'm curious what you're most excited about this, this new iteration of just you right now as part of Appalachian Apollo.
Well, it's super exciting. It's definitely like a lot. It's creatively freeing in some ways, and in other ways, it makes it like a lot harder because there's a lot more work to be done. A lot more.
You have no one to blame now if a
Yeah.
song stinks. I'm just kidding. Keep going.
Definitely that too. But yeah. So I'm kind of just trying to like get the songs to sound as good as they possibly can, just me and a guitar, and then sort of record a demo like that, see how I feel about it, see what needs to be added, and then bring in session players. I think is really going to be the big thing. I'll be bringing, some hired guns, some drummers, and potentially a different bass player, potentially for some songs. I still actually still work with the old bass player from our second trio, but yeah, it's just going to be a lot more stripped down at some points, and hopefully I end up with songs that are just better written that way.
Well, I'm not worried about it. You're an incredible talent. Before I get to my final question, and you can hear my dogs barking in the back because they're so excited about this interview, is for more on the amazing Chris. You can read more about him and Appalachian Apollo right below this video. Chris, final question for you. If you could give advice to young Chris, what would it be?
How young?
Will, I'm still young, mother effer. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse.
Oh man. What you like 18-year-old me or like 12-year-old me?
Like I want like right as you're about to right as you were holding that guitar for the first time and had somewhat of a dream of doing this.
Actually, I wouldn't know. I like music has actually done a lot for me, and it's I'm super grateful to be able to kind of practice it and write and record. But I definitely like there are going to be roadblocks. I would tell myself to be prepared for like whatever comes, I guess, and to not give up no matter how hard it gets.
See,
And
there it is.
yeah.
I love that. And that, dare I say, you're good enough. You see what I did? Chris, all jokes aside, you really are an incredible talent. I feel so comfortable speaking with you. You obviously not only do that through your presence, but through your songs. And I know it's going to serve you really well because you're a good guy of the planet.
Well, thanks. Well, likewise, it was really great talking to you, and definitely feel super comfortable. And I appreciate your time.